Anna was an architect whose name was on the lips of everyone who knew anything about the field. By the time she was 30, she was already leading the country's biggest projects, and her work was hailed as modern masterpieces. She was ambitious, talented, and didn't know the words no or impossible. Her career was like a rocket's steep ascent. Each new project was taller, more massive, and more prestigious than the last. Accolades, awards, photos on magazine covers, Anna was at the very top. Her star project was set to be the Skyline, a futuristic skyscraper designed to change the city's face. It was her dream, her magnum opus. Anna worked on it almost around the clock, obsessed with the idea of making it perfect. She was so confident in her calculations that she began to ignore warnings from her team who pointed out possible technical issues and risks. "My vision is the key to success," she would say, dismissing any doubts. Her ego grew with the project's height, and she stopped listening to those around her. No one could have imagined that a catastrophe was so close. Just weeks before the final construction phase, due to an unaccounted-for structural flaw her team had tried to warn her about, an accident occurred. It didn't result in any casualties, but caused millions of dollars in damages and completely destroyed the company's reputation. The Skyline became a symbol not of ambition, but of overconfidence. In a single moment, Anna lost everything. Her contract was terminated, her name disappeared from projects, and her phone, which used to ring off the hook with offers, fell silent. Her brilliant career, her dream, her reputation, everything collapsed, just like the skyscraper she had designed. She was left alone, in the ruins of her ambition, with only one question in her mind. How did this happen? It was more than just the end of a career. It was a fall from a height from which not everyone can recover. The fall was swift and painful. Anna locked herself in her apartment, ignoring calls and messages. Once full of life and ambition, she was now just a shadow of her former self. Every look in the mirror brought her back to that fateful day, and the thoughts of her ruined career and lost respect were unbearable. Her name, once synonymous with success, was now a symbol of failure. Her funds were running out. Accustomed to a life of luxury, she faced the need to find a job for the first time in years, but no one wanted to hire the architect who had collapsed a project. Her degree and portfolio seemed irrelevant. Every potential employer only saw her biggest mistake. Anna realized she had to put her ego aside. She took a simple job at a small school, helping art teachers and keeping the classroom tidy. It was a world away from the grand plans and projects she was used to. The woman who had designed futuristic skyscrapers was now teaching children how to hold a pencil. The leader, who had managed hundreds of people, was now wiping down tables and stacking paper. It was the hardest test. At first, she felt humiliated, but over time, watching the children who created simple but beautiful drawings with such pure joy, Anna began to understand something important. They had no ambitions for money or fame, but they had a passion for creation that was pure and uncorrupted. She began to remember why she had chosen this profession in the first place, not for the money, but for the act of creation itself. Even the simplest drawing could bring joy, not just million-dollar contracts. It was the first, barely visible ray of light in her darkness, giving her hope. Working at the school was not just a source of income for Anna. It was an unexpected lesson. Every day, watching the children's creative process, she remembered why she had once so passionately loved architecture. It wasn't about money, fame, or admiring glances, but the sincere joy of creating something that benefited others. Her ego gradually retreated, making way for her true purpose. One day, a local community activist came to the school. He explained that their neighborhood was planning to build a small community center for seniors and youth, but lacked the funds for a professional architect. Anna, feeling an inner call, offered her help. She decided to take on the project for free. It was her first project after her fall, tiny, and insignificant compared to what she had done before. But she approached it with complete dedication and enthusiasm. Instead of dictating, she began to listen. She spoke with residents, learned their needs, and heard their ideas for the design. Every detail, from the convenience of ramps for seniors to the placement of windows for more light, was important. She wasn't just designing a building. She was creating a space for life filled with care and community. This project became her personal challenge and, at the same time, her therapy. She reconnected with her profession, but this time, the connection was different, pure, without the taint of ambition and ego. Her work on the center began to bring her satisfaction, and for the first time in a long while, she felt truly happy. The small community center became a masterpiece. It didn't impress with its size or innovative technology, but it impressed with its soul. Everyone who came there felt that the place was created with love. Soon, it was featured in a local newspaper, and then in a prominent architectural magazine. Everyone talked not about its grandeur, but about the human approach to the project. One day, the phone, which had been silent for so long, rang. It was a former colleague of Anna's. He was impressed with her work and offered her a new, important project. It wasn't a mega building, but a large and vital urban project, the renovation of an old housing complex. It was her second chance. But this time, everything was different. Anna, now with wisdom instead of just ambition, assembled her new team. Instead of imposing her vision, she listened to everyone around her. She trusted her engineers, heard out the designer's ideas, and openly acknowledged that her greatest strength was in teamwork. She became a leader who inspires, not just one who commands. The project was a success. It was completed on time and within budget. The residents were thrilled with the renovated buildings, and her colleagues once again looked at her with respect. But the greatest victory for Anna wasn't the project's success. It was the trust she had regained. She felt like an architect again, but this time, she knew that true greatness was not in the height of a building, but in the strength of human relationships. Years passed. Anna's name was once again on everyone's lips, but this time she was mentioned not as a symbol of failure, but as an example of true greatness. Her project to renovate the old complex became a national model for urban revitalization. Her approach to work, based on dialogue and collaboration, was described in many architecture and management textbooks. Anna had reached the summit. But this summit was completely different from the one she had once fallen from. For Anna, the true reward was not recognition. Her real victory was the trust she had rebuilt and the feeling that her work served people. She founded a fund to support young architects, teaching them that success is not about a project's size, but about the impact it has on people's lives. She became a mentor, sharing her bitter but valuable experience and reminding them that the biggest mistakes can become the most important lessons. One day, walking past the very community center she had designed for free, Anna saw children playing in it and seniors chatting peacefully. She watched them with a smile on her face. It was then she understood that her greatest success was not in skyscrapers or awards, but in this small space filled with life. Anna's story is not just about a comeback. It's a story about how true success is not about the ascent, but about the ability to rise after a fall. It's about finding your purpose not in fame, but in service. Her legacy is not just the buildings she created, but the belief that humility, resilience, and hard work can transform any ruin into something beautiful.